Hi everyone, my name is Joshua and I'm going to be teaching you all about some basic fishing concepts that can be really helpful if you're just now learning how to fish. So here we have a open face bait casting reel, and it's very easy to use, and it's very simple. So it's like you want to use it for small, usually small bluegill, crappie, and sometimes maybe even bigger bass. It's just very easy to use. And so now we'll go over the parts of it. This is more of a smaller rod. But starting from this side, you have the reel, which has a couple different parts that you need to know. So this button is called the trigger, and what this trigger does is it basically releases the line. I'll go over that a little bit more later when I talk about how to cast. But that releases the line when you cast, and this reel here, it basically you reel it in and it stops the line from being released, and then this little trigger right here, what it does is it adjusts the drag. So there's a plus and a minus sign. So the plus sign means that there'd be more drag, meaning that it's harder for the line to pull out. And then after that, the minus sign means that there's less drag, meaning it's easier for it to pull out. And you can do that if there's a big fish on the line. You want to have like less drag so that effectively the fish can take more of it away without snapping the line. So moving up the pole, we have these little circle bits, which are called guides. What this does is it guides the fishing line up the pole, and that's why they're called guides. And then if we're looking at the fishing line itself, we have a simple bobber setup. So just a little bobber and a hook, and then what we'd put on this would just be like any kind of fake bait, live bait, usually something that we don't really need to look as if it's moving. Later in this video, we'll show you how to put a jig on the hook, and now we'll get on to how to put the hook on the line. So what we're going to do here is we're going to basically show you how to tie the rope onto effectively the hook. So this is going to be a makeshift or be a visual representation of our fishing line. This loop on my tackle box is going to be the visualization of the eye on the hook. So what you're going to do to tie this on, it's a simple knot. It's called the fisherman's knot. You'll put your rope through. This will be the end of the rope, and then it's a simple task. All you have to do is twist. It's easy. You just twist your rope around, at least 4 or 5 times around. With fishing line, all you have to do is twist the hook. So I could have twisted this, and then once that's happened, all you have to do is then feed it back through this loop, and then pull on both ends. It dresses better with fishing line, but it works all the same. And then, voila, you have your fishing line tied on. We'll get that to the side now. And then, for this one, and then for the reel line, it looks something like this. I already have it tied or put through the line put through the hook. It's simply just make sure you have a lot of slack, and then it's just a twisting motion, just like this. Do that around 4 or 5 times. Never hurts to do extra. And then you'll take the slack of your rope at the end of the line and stick it through the hole or the end, just like you did with the big rope. And then, holding on both ends without hooking yourself, you'll pull on the long end. And then it's always a safe bet to then use your pliers to cut off excess rope. Maybe not too close to it, but it can oftentimes deter the fish from biting it because they see it and it just deters them from trying to bite it. So it's always a safe bet to cut off any excess line, just like that. And then and I always recommend that you have your trigger released when you do this so that you don't have a chance of snagging yourself more because of all the tension on the line that you'll have if you accidentally hook yourself. So to put a bobber on, it's very simple. At least the bobber like this, you'll press your bottom button and put the line simply just in that little hook area. And make sure that you have at least 2 feet or less, or around 2 feet between your hook and your bobber. And then make sure that your bobber is also facing downwards. So make sure this thing, or this little knob, should be basically lower down. So this thing should be up on the top of the rope. So I wouldn't want to attach it here. I'd rather attach it here. It doesn't really matter, but it's just something that is most often done. So then, in order to put the bottom part of the bobber on, you want to hold on the top and then press on the outside rim of the nub there, and then put your rope or your line underneath that hook. So when you're using a bobber, in these situations, you would want to use some of this artificial bait. You can use other things, but this artificial bait works pretty well because all it has to do is sit on the end of your hook, and the smells in the bait will just attract the fish. This is store-bought trout bait, just little marshmallows that have nice smells to them, so the fish will come to them. And these are artificial salmon eggs as well. Both can be found at any outdoor store. Very good for fishing. So yeah, you'll have to put a sinker on so that they will sink, and then the easiest way to put one of them on is just, they usually have a little V in them, so you could just squeeze that V part onto the line. You can oftentimes use pliers to do that as well. When I go fishing later, I will use this jig, so I won't need a bobber and I won't need a sinker. All I'll have to do is put it on the hook, and let's go fishing. Alright guys, so I'm at a lake now, in this little corner area. It's probably around 6 or 7 o'clock, so the sun's going down. It's a perfect time to fish. It's cool. The fish like this kind of weather. And I'm going to teach you guys how to cast. So with my bait casting reel, I have it set up with a jig at the end. So in order to cast, what you're going to do is you're going to hold the pole in your dominant hand. You can hold your pole out to the side. That's what I usually like to do when I cast. So what you do is you'll hold your thumb on the trigger, and then make sure that you have an area around you that you can swing your pole without accidentally hitting anybody. So it's kind of like a safety circle. And then holding your thumb on the trigger, know where you're going to aim, and then you swing your pole and release. And then you'll click the reel in, let it sink a little bit. If this were a bobber, you could just let it sit there and wait till something bites. But I'll let my jig sink, and then I'll start reeling in slowly, looking it from side to side. See if I can get that movement effect that we're going for. I didn't catch anything on that swing. And then keep going. And you'll keep repeating that process until you catch yourself a fish. Going out there and get fishing, guys. I was out here for a couple minutes and I just caught myself a bass. Hope you guys catch plenty of big fish. You can tag us at Simon Cat and Council and just show us what fish you catch. Thank you. Make sure to catch and release.